So today we're going to talk about road tripping and planning family vacations. And we're going to go through 6 simple steps, but on our way to executing these steps, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the multiple technologies. For example, here AI, where we're creating these images, where we're understanding information in the local area, as well as using technology like Evernote to track things, or maybe as simple as Excel to take a look and see how we want to track things. And again, finally, using a calendar to map it all out. So lots of things to talk about, but this really is going to be talking about how we use technology to get us to have great family vacations. So stay tuned. All right. So, being the father of 6, my wife and I spend a lot of time talking about family vacations. And as your family grows and they start leaving home, planning vacations together and time to spend together gets to be a little requires a little more effort on some things. Where when you're younger, you just say this is where we're going and make the plan. But when your kids get older, there a little more coordination has to occur. So I'm going to walk through some of those steps. So the first step is to find the activities and add details. So this really is a great effort so we're on step number 1. It's really a great effort for family members to go out and research on their own. And however they're collecting the information, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to show you some examples of how to collect some information, but whatever works for you works. So this is what I do. So I go out to the internet, and the first thing I do is I ask ChatGPT. So I'll say, hey, things to do within 90 minutes from my location. I should have put in the city first, but it comes back and says, okay, well, where are you located? And then here it's telling me what some of those things are that I can do. And if I keep digging at it with the AI, it will keep telling me more activities to do. Then once I find an activity, for example, I honed in on one of them. I can't remember, right here. Number 2, visit the Hambach Castle. And then I say, okay, give me the history on Hambach Castle. And I could also go in and tell me the cost of Hambach Castle. But I'm just kind of collecting the history at this point. So you can see I'm going through. And then I'm saying, okay, what are things for young kids to do within the area? It gives me multiple options. And what are kids for little kids, 18 months to 4 years? What are those options? Okay. So it gives lots. And then I see things. Oh, okay. So what is this Wild Park Putzpark? So I take a look and see what it is, what they do, things of that nature. Then I ask it what the cost is, and it gives me an estimate of cost. This is a lot of great information. Now, is it all 100% accurate? No, not 100% accurate, but you could ask it for things like, what's the URL? Okay. Now, for some reason, these AIs don't like to provide that, but that's okay. So I could just copy this right here, and I could say, search for this, right? And then once I do that, it's going to go over and search the area for those things, and there it comes up immediately on what this zoo is, and then it pulls up the information. Okay, so that looks pretty cool with those eagles and vultures and things. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Okay, so this is some great information, but as I'm looking at this information, I want to make sure that I capture some of it. So to capture some of it, remember, inside of every computer, Windows-based computer, if you hit print screen, it's going to print the entire screen. But if you hit Alt print screen, it will capture just this area. Now, for me, I use a tool called Snagit. And so I'll just say capture. I'll draw the picture, and then it just captures the image for me. Okay? And then I just so it'll capture the image. So we'll kind of walk through this. I have it dump it into here so I can modify the picture, and then I say copy, and then I go over to wherever that is. Oh, there's the park one right there. And you see I've already pasted it. So then I just go into Evernote and I just hit Control V for paste, and there's the image. Okay, so that's one way to kind of capture. Now I'm just creating this log of information. Now, why is this important? Well, because when I start finalizing my schedule and I'm sharing with others the activities, it's just easier for everybody else to see the information. And for me, that's more of a meeting here in Germany with my wife and anybody who's staying here at the time of, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's the information. Here are the pictures, right? So I don't have to be searching the internet while I'm doing a presentation, basically, of what we're going to be doing. So that's just something you can do. So we need to prepare and find those activities. Another way to kind of document that would be just to document it in a spreadsheet. Now, one thing I failed to mention on the Evernote, let me go back there. Here, I put a tag in. You notice here at the bottom, Evernote, you can add a tag. And if you look at this chart, it just kind of slide it over here. Oops. You can see here the tag 60 minutes, blah, blah, blah. This is the distance from the house so that I know when I'm looking at Evernote, okay, it's going to take me 30 minutes to get there. All right. Another way to do this, of course, is to use a spreadsheet. And here in the spreadsheet, I may put in now, I always do things in minutes just because it's easier. Then I don't have to worry, is that hours or so. Here, Ziegelbach Zoo, for example, is only 10 minutes from the house, but it's going to cost $15 per person. And the family, it's going to cost $60. And then Berlin. So you need to have this discussion too. Who's going to pay for these things? So if you're planning as a family, you'll want to just make sure that everybody's clear on, hey, this is great, but we're going to pay for our own activities, as an example. This order here is just a priority. So you may say this is what I want here, and then you can set the filter in the list to go ahead and find that information. Okay, so that's really kind of here on step one. Find the activities and add the details. The next thing we want to do is coordinate the activities and align expectations. So what that will look like is taking basically a list of all of the activities that everybody wants, putting the order in here, and kind of aligning expectations. And this is where we're going to talk about things like cost and time and some of the other things that are important to kind of know about these activities. And then we'll prioritize those activities over here. Third thing is to have a loose agenda and have fun. So for those of you that know me, you're thinking, oh, really? He really put that in as a step? Because perhaps I'm not known to have a loose agenda. But loose agenda and have fun. And oh, by the way, these are all AI generated images here. And you can see the AI for some reason has a real challenge with spelling. It always seems, this one's pretty good, but it always seems to miss things when it's spelling. Like here's an I. So I don't know why that is, but it's very consistent using Dolly. Anyways, step number 3, loose agenda is what it's supposed to say, but it says lose agenda and have fun. So what does that mean? Let's take a look. The easiest thing to do is just to get a Google Calendar, and if you don't have another account that doesn't have things like our family calendar is pretty busy, but if we just have one that doesn't have things, here we can put on this calendar, and then you can hook it up so that it kind of puts over on the other calendar as well. So here, for example, they arrive, right? We're going to do Homburg Caves the first time. And here's where you start doing the planning. What the suggestion is that you take these requirements here and you have the discussion around the first question you want to ask, which might be another discussion or document that you'll say is, okay, well, how much time per day are we going to have? Especially if you have little children, there may be nap times, there may be when they get up, when they go to sleep, all of that stuff, meals. So how much time do we have per day to actually do the activity? And then this is where it's going to come into play here, because you're going to have to consider what the travel time is to get there, loading up, unloading, and then what it takes to go through the activity. So then you plan that accordingly. Okay? So that's kind of the third step there. But if you notice here in planning, sometimes you can specify time, but a lot of times just having the activity for the day and then letting, as the day forms up, figuring out when it is that you want to go do that activity. Number 4, prepare. Be prepared for the trip. For example, if you're going overseas, passports take take a minimum, I believe it's 120 days. Look up on the internet, and we can go ahead and use our friend here, ChatGPT. All right, and we're going to say, how long to get a U.S. passport, for example. And it's just going to go down and tell us exactly how long. Typically, it takes 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, so 6 weeks, you can say, how many days is 6 weeks? What date is 6 weeks from today? What date is 6 weeks from today? Okay, so May 24th. So if you need your passport by May 24th, 3 weeks from today. So I put the 2 range here, 3 weeks to 6 weeks, and I would plan for 8 weeks to get a passport, because they are slow and there's really very little you can do to motivate them to get it done any faster. So here would be June 21st. So if you were planning to arrive in a foreign country by June 21st, 2024, then you would want to make sure that you had your passport paperwork in by today. So plan ahead, whatever that is. The passport is a pretty long pole in that tent to accomplish. You also want to make sure you have, everything else squared away, right? If you have a pet, how are you going to take care of that? Do you have the right luggage? Make sure you check with the airline on what luggage you can carry, what you can't carry, what the costs are associated with that. All of those good things, prepare. Number 5 is then you sit down. Now that you know that the preparation work is going to go, you have your loose agenda and the activities. Now you begin to really plug things into the calendar. So you begin to see exactly when things are happening. And you can do that as a joint meeting so that everybody understands what we're going to do and where we're going to go. And then here we prepare the destination is the last thing. So just make sure the preparations at the destination are being taken care of. For example, if you have little children, make sure you have the right type of beds or guards for the staircases or the right food types for people that have different diet needs. All of that type of stuff will guarantee, or at least help you get to a point where you will have a little more fun. I guess it's a terrible way to end the video, a little more fun. But we'll ensure that you'll have just a little bit more comfort when you're sharing time with one another. Setting expectations and being forthright and honest in the very beginning of the planning phase, as you go through these 6 steps, is critical to having a good time, especially as your children become adults themselves. That coordination and respect and alignment with one another is absolutely important and will allow for everybody to have a little better time. Good luck.